I wanted to just address one thing, and I'm going to let this play, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts.
And then number one is SA fantasies. Number one.
That doesn't mean
There was not a single thing I think you said that I fantasize about.
Did a poll that's their biggest fantasy. So you see how women can say one thing and think and do something totally different? So I just want to say that. The number one fantasy of women is the thing that you all are saying that you hate.
that doesn't mean we want it to happen to us in real life.
I don't believe you do. I'm just saying. It's just it just shows the duplicitous, contradictory nature of women that I spoke of earlier.
But
if you follow, I'm gonna let y'all retort. I'm gonna let y'all retort. I'm not saying y'all feel this way. So his poll, the number one thing was the most appalling thing that they're saying out of their mouths, and it's just contradictory. Like when that movie Shades of Grey came out, women love that.
A fantasy is in a safe situation. It actually happening in an abusive way is not something you're
How is
okay
assault a fantasy?
And also, let me add to this, a lot of SA victims will fantasize
over the trauma.
Their trauma. Even though it was a bad experience for them, they then fetishize their own trauma.
As a man, I would never fetishize somebody beating me.
And you're a
That's
man.
the
We are
yes.
women.
Yeah.
I don't.
That right there. I'm going to tell you in a more logical way, because most men don't understand this, and he pretty much displays his ignorance of this. We do think differently. So why do they fantasize SA in the fantasy setting? The fantasy setting is literally just them being able to take control of traumatic experiences for themselves. So women are not like us men who can make decisions and confront reality and conflict with it, whether good or negative. Instead, women do what they do best, which is lacking accountability. They run away into copinism. So they'll cope with it in some way. There are two ways they can do this. Disassociate. Disassociation is one of those things, but it's just a way to make them feel empowered over the situation, while at the same time feeling like a feminine, being overpowered. See, women can't make a decision between left or right. They always want to please everybody, and they always want everything all at the same time. Okay? They want their cake and eat it too. See what I mean? So that lack of accountability, this is how their mind works. So how do they deal with this trauma? They go into the realm of fantasy, and they end up feeding into it. Some unhealthy versions of this, they'll actually go out and search for it, or they disassociate. So one of two things will happen. The disassociation would be like if she was harmed by a man, she'll begin to hate men, and therefore highlight that women are better, and then become lesbian. And then her body, her physiological body, will align to that belief wholeheartedly. So then now she can only gain arousal from the same sex, because the opposite sex gives her a negative response. Now there's the opposite then, which is where they immerse themselves into the trauma. So one distances themselves away from it, and the other, like to the extreme, and then the other is one who immerses themselves in it in order to have some sort of semblance of control. And that's what it is. It's control. Women have no control in this world. They'll never admit it, but they don't have control over this world, especially if a guy decides they're no longer going to have control. So when you live an existence of feeling like you have no control over your life, what do? You create scenarios in which you have control. This is why there's like a deep resentment within women against certain types of men. And then at the same time, they know they rely on men. They know that they actually appreciate their power and their ability to make things happen. They have that. But when they go through trauma, there's a disconnect, a desynchronization between respect for what a man is and disdain and hatefulness for the positions they put them in. See what I mean? Because remember, the only reason women are like dominating fields is because men have bent their knees to them, simpy men, and they've been weak men. And because of that, they've been put in these positions of like being able to feed their delusions instead of being told, no, that's not the reality. They would appreciate that kind of man. Now the fantasies versions are basically the extreme version of a man telling them, no, I'm in control, everything's fine, because when they're in control, they feel safe. But in the fantasy format, this is the mental gymnastics they do. The fantasy format allows something abstract to have control over them, so they feel like they have direction and safety, while it being a fantasy shows that they have control over it. In other words, they can end the fantasy at any point to keep themselves safe, right? So the way women connect to sexuality is more emotional based. We don't work this way. So us is very physical in what we see, and we're very matter of fact and direct. We're direct. If we men go through trauma, we actually grow from it and learn things. Often it's the harsh reality. We either give up or we give in to being what wronged us, right? We either become a hero or a villain. That's how clear cut it becomes for most men. A hero, a villain, and maybe an anti-hero, however you want to call it, right? You can argue semantics and gray areas all you want, but men are pretty binary when it comes to that. With women, it's not so much as binary. It's just more like swaying. It is binary, but it's like swaying back and forth and trying to find an equilibrium at all times, which is not based in reality. It never was. It never was based in reality. In fact, they come up with these things to escape reality, because reality is much too much to deal with for these women. Why do you think they always have to announce that they're strong and they're capable and they don't need a man and stuff like that? That's literally just to reaffirm themselves that they have power, but deep down they know they don't. This is why they're never satisfied, because they never actually healed themselves. They didn't figure out that true power is discipline over yourself, over your emotions, being able to not allow outward outcomes or your obsessions to define you. They don't know how to do that. This is why the role of men is so important, because we are literally the guideposts for them to show them how to do that. But because the world is set up how it is now, that's not easily feasible, because she has a bunch of defense mechanisms that are going to go against any sort of male guidance, because there's a lot of evil men who have made their mark on them and turned them into what you see now. So the coping mechanism, the fantasies, the dark stuff, I got it, guys. We get it. It's disgusting. Yes, it is. But you have to understand why they gravitate towards that, why their mind works this way. It's important to know these things, so that way you can better know how to treat it. You know what I mean? So, if anything, it's kind of like, so all these women are encroaching in our space to make us feel powerless. Like they take over our movies, our media, turn off our consoles. They're trying to express what they're constantly feeling on a daily basis, and they want you to feel their vengeance. Feel as bad as they do. Because they don't like being alone in their suffering. It's petty. It definitely is petty. But that's just how they work. Now, just because you understand that, doesn't mean you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, we're going to allow you to do what you do. No. They want you to tell them no. They want you to be present. Like, when you're on your game, you're not present. Like, just kind of like, I'll cut it off short right here, because I don't need this to be any longer than what it is, but I hope you understand what I'm getting at. I'm not excusing their behaviors. I'm telling you why they even exist in the first place and how we can turn that around. And part of that is being able to explain it in a way that she views it, and telling her, okay, now that I know how you view it, this is why it needs to stop. Because all you're doing is hurting yourself further. You think you're helping yourself. You think you're making yourself stronger. You're not. You're enslaving yourself to the concept of the thing that ruled over you because of one dark time in your life. And it might not even be associated to that exact event. In fact, it might just be like something similar, where they felt a lack of control. Because that's all it is. It's a grasp and searching for control and power. They want to feel powerful, but even when they're in positions of power, they don't feel powerful. So you know that it has nothing to do with the external that needs to change. It's the internal, who they are on the inside, what they're damaged about. They need to heal. They need to be told to go and heal. They gotta forgive. One of the first steps of being healed is forgiving others and yourself for feeling this way, for thinking that you weren't enough, not strong enough to change an outcome, feeling helpless. See what I mean? It's all a grab for power and control. But it's because they have lack of control within themselves. And that's what they are. They're like the ocean. It's just very vast. There's no borders. It's all over the place. But the land, masculine, keeps the border, keeps it contained. It actually has a measurement of where to stop. Women don't know, they don't understand boundaries. They don't understand when to stop. We are that person. We are that being that is the example of when to stop. The boundary. And that's why they both love us and hate us all at the same time. Because we are that boundary. They can't run away in fantasy because we're here. And they can't define whatever they want to define because we're here. But as soon as we're gone, they'll be able to allow to do all that, and they'll still be empty about it. They'll still be upset because there's no border no more. They don't know what's up or down. Everything is permissible, and then it becomes chaotic. See what I mean? It's just, I'm surprised nobody's caught on to this just yet. But anyway, I'm gonna end this video here, guys. Thanks for listening to my rambling, I guess.